Okay, here we're going to be looking at some examples where we're trying to simplify when we have a numerator and a denominator involved. In both of these situations, the key strategy is to factor the numerator and the denominator. So let's look at these examples here and see how we actually do that in the process of simplifying. We'll start with x plus 3 all over x squared minus 9. Okay, let's look at the denominator here. Can you see how the denominator could factor? Comparing this to an earlier example with the difference of squares, this will factor to be x minus 3 times x plus 3. Now what's on top isn't factorable, it's just x plus 3. But we notice now once you factor the denominator, there's an x plus 3 in both numerator and denominator. Those will cancel out, and when it cancels out on top, you're left with 1. So this will just be 1 over x minus 3. In the other example, 6xy minus 18x all over 2x cubed y minus 6x cubed. This one doesn't have any difference of squares. However, we can factor out a greatest common factor in both numerator and denominator. So if you look at on the top, what is the greatest common factor of the two terms? Well, we notice there's a 6 that divides into both numbers. We can factor that out. We notice there's an x in common. We can factor that out. When we factor that out, what we're going to be left with in the first term is just a y. Factoring out 6 from the negative 18x is going to leave us with negative 3. And so that's the top. Let's look at the bottom. Same idea, look for the greatest common factor. We'll see that there's a 2 in common, we can factor that out. There's also an x cubed that we can factor out. When we factor that out, we're going to be left with in the first term just a y. And when we factor out 2 from the negative 6, we also have a negative 3. So now we see how this will reduce and cancel. These will cross out, leaving us with a 6x on top and a 2x cubed underneath. This can be further reduced by crossing out an x from top and bottom, leaving us with just a 6 on top and a 2x squared underneath. And that can reduce a little bit more. The 2 can divide in itself, and 2 can divide into 6 3 times, leaving us with just 3 all over x squared. And that'll be simplified now into the lowest terms.